Now, who better to show us how to lead than a man who has had to overcome so much but keeps on giving to his community? Dr. Sampson Davis, the author of 2 of HOSA's medical reading books, The Pact and Living and Dying in Brick City, paints for us a clear picture of the struggles he has had to overcome both at home and in the streets. Yet, he still came home after medical school to be of service, but not only medically, but by being a professional role model for all young people. The lessons learned in his book are life-changing. This is the reason that he has been called by some as the premier role model of the world. It is time to open our hearts and our minds as we welcome tonight's keynote speaker, Dr. Sampson Davis.
Good evening. Good evening. HOSA 2015 NLC, thank you. Thank you for having me. I mean, I'm feeling real presidential right now. I may throw my hat in the ring, but I don't know anything about politics, so let me just stop joking about that. But this right here is major. I want to give you guys a round of applause because this is what education looks like. This is what education feels like. You see I'm facing New Jersey because I'm from New Jersey. But I have love. I'm thinking about going on vacation to Hawaii, Oklahoma maybe. I'm a little weird because I'm from New Jersey, but I'm a Cowboy fan, so Texas. But when we think about education, and often how education is positioned and poised is sometimes called corny or square, but look at this. This is electrifying. This is like a rock concert. This is on the line of Drake, Drizzy, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swizzy, right? It's along those lines, and this is what education gets you. Education is cool. And so growing up in Newark, New Jersey, you know, my life, I faced a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges. Single parent home, 5 siblings, and what I want to share with you in this brief presentation is a little bit about myself, but leave you with some takeaway points, some pearls, hopefully that you can refer to in time of need. So growing up in Newark, New Jersey, single parent home, 5 siblings, you know, it was tough. It was a lot of poverty, a lot of destruction, a lot of crime. And so it was tough for a young mind to aim for what he couldn't see. It's hard for somebody to say, you go out and become a doctor, or you become a dentist, or architect, or EMT, or engineer, when you're not surrounded by positive role models. We must have positive role models to emulate, to model ourselves after. And so for me, it was tough in the beginning to sort of grab onto that positive role model. But it was my mother, who's my hero, who told me school was important. She told me education was cool. And back then, you know, child abuse was legal. So if I didn't listen, I would have got a spanking or two, you know, to get back in line. So, but you got to understand, like, with the path that you're taking, young people, is the right path. And us adults that's sitting in the room, we're so proud of you. And school is cool because if school wasn't cool, it wouldn't rhyme, right? If school wasn't cool, it wouldn't go together. So you have to understand that's the coolest thing. So the first thing I want to tell you, young people, what you know already, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Know who you are. People would tell you you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, and we call those people what? Haters. And in the line of Taylor Swizzy, the hater's gonna hate, 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 hate. So what you wanna do? Shake it off, shake it off. I can't sing, so that's my best impression. But understand, as I was finding my way growing up in Newark, my mother would say, go to school. And all my peers who were in 3rd grade and 4th grade, when a teacher asked a question, what's 2 times 2? A student would jump, pick me, ooh, pick me, pick me, ooh, pick me. It's 4. And somewhere in the 5th and 6th grade, all of a sudden, it's not cool to be smart. It's the weirdest thing. It's like it's just like an anomaly where education is the coolest thing out. So when somebody said, you know, don't do well in school or don't follow your path and start to call you names, because when I was in the 5th and 6th grade, that's what happened. I started to do well, and I was doing well in school, and people would call me names like nerd or you're corny. And so I want to tell you the second point, if somebody call you a nerd or call you corny or square, that's fine if they call you nerd today. You know why? Because they would be calling you boss tomorrow. So I vision a society where young people like you are the new leaders, and where our young people are embracing education just the same way as they embrace music and embrace sports and entertainment. Education needs to be glorified and glamorized in that light. So along the way, 5th, 6th grade, I was doing well in school, and I started to fall off the path a little bit, and I started to get in trouble. Again, you can't really emulate what you can't see. You can't become something that's not in your community. So I started to fall off the path. And so I started to fumble around and get in trouble. I was still doing well enough in school to make my mother happy, but at the same time, I was somewhat consumed by the streets. So I started to get in trouble, and it's just saying that if you hang around 5 or 6 people going in the wrong direction, it won't be long before you go in that same direction. But if you hang around 5 or 6 smart people going in the right direction, all of a sudden you find yourself going in that same direction. And you don't have to even be the smartest person. Now, it's like a diffusion process. All of a sudden, you hang around smart people, you just start to feel smart. It's like osmosis just takes place all of a sudden. You're like, I don't know, pi equals 3.14. I don't know where that came from. I'm just hanging around smart people, and all of a sudden, you start to feel smart. So it's very important, lesson number 2, that you surround yourself with like-minded people. You surround yourself with people that's going in a positive direction. You surround yourself with leaders, the people that's going to lead our society today and tomorrow. You want to make sure you keep yourself and yourself surrounded by smart people who are going in a positive direction. So as I was finding myself in trouble, I somehow landed in a situation which was dire. And I was given a second opportunity, and now I was in high school. I was at University High School. And I had these 2 friends, for those who read the Pact. I understood you read the Pact last year. And this year, living and dying in Brick City. And if you know the story about the Pact, I met these 2 guys, Ramik Hunt and George Jenkins, in high school. And one day, we went to the same school, and we were just best friends. We just kind of hung out. Same school, same classes. It wasn't anything about what our future, where we were focused on our future, where we were going to go. We were just trying to survive the streets of Newark, New Jersey. And so we just pretty much liked the way each other dressed, video games, sports, you name it. And so one day, we were juniors in high school. We were trying to figure out what we're going to do with our life, and we didn't know what direction we were going to take. And at the time, I was working at McDonald's, and I was saying to myself, well, no one in my family ever went to college, so how dare I dream so big? And so I was working at McDonald's, and I was promoted to crew chief and manager, and I thought one day, maybe McDonald's will give me a McDonald's. I don't know, it might work out that way. And there's nothing wrong with working at McDonald's, but it was like at the same time, it's like we have to set our sights bigger and broader than that. So working at McDonald's, and I was kind of thinking that's the career path I was going to take. I was hanging out with Ramik and George, and this is where surrounding yourself with positive people take precedence and can lead you to a place that you never imagined your life going to. So we're sitting in high school, second period class, substitute teacher, and we were still a little mischief and a little energetic in our high school years, and so we had a substitute teacher. And so as soon as we saw the substitute teacher, again, we still had a little mischief with us. As soon as we saw a substitute teacher, we looked at each other, and we had a code for Operation Cut a Class, right? So it was time to cut the class. So I raised my hand. I had to go to the bathroom. George, who's part of the Pact, he raised his hand. He had to go to the principal's office to drop off a report. And Ramik, who's the internist, he's an internist, part of our trio here, he raised his hand. He had to go make a phone call. And back then we had payphones. Do you guys know what a payphone is? It's this big instrument, it kind of goes on a wall, and you got to put change in to make a phone call. Do you know what I'm talking about? Now, do you know how to make a collect call with a payphone? All right, so yeah, you know how to make a collect call, but when you make a collect call, usually the person you call in they are charged with the call. So the way that you make a collect call that the person who's calling and the person who's receiving the call don't get charged is I want to show you how to do so. So, because you never know, these are survivor skills. One day you may be out, and you have to make this collect call. You may be stuck in the desert and a mirage appears a payphone, and you may want to call someone, collect, but you don't want them to get the charge. And I know, growing up in Newark and not having a lot, my phone would get cut off a lot, so I used to learn how to make these collect calls for free. So the way that you do it is, and you go to the phone, you normally dial 0 and 1, area code 305, 732. 732-917, you dial the area code and a number. And then the phone would ring, or it would be a pause, and they say at the beep, say your name, so you would say, collect call from, Sampson. And then they would ring the phone, and the person would pick up the phone on the other end and say, you have a collect call from, via pause, and it says Sampson. And so the person say either you accept the collect call or not. So the way that you do that, instead of leaving your name, when you dial that number, 0 area code and a number that you're calling, at the beep, instead of saying your name, you say the number you're calling from. So you're like, okay, collect call, let me call this number. Instead of saying my name at the beep, 973-242-0404, it rings the person on the other end, and they have to know that you're calling, because I used to call my girlfriend all the time like this. And so when the phone would ring on the other end, it would say you have a collect call. Instead of saying my name, it would say the number I'm calling from. I hang up the phone, she hang up the phone, and then she calls me back at that number. And that's the way you make a collect call where nobody pays. You never know. You never know. It's survival skills. So, so we were out of the class now. We're in the boys' bathroom. The substitute teacher let all three of us get out of the class. So we're sitting in the boys' bathroom. We're just, kind of like second period, and we just can't sit in the boys' bathroom. First of all, it smells in there, and it's a second period. So we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with our. We can't just stand here. So we decided we're going to go to the gym to play basketball. Our goal was that we could make our way down the hallway. It was a long hallway, if you will, that led from one side of the high school to the other side. We have to go down this hallway to get to this other side. But on our way, we have to pass the security guard, and the security guard desk sat right there. If we could make it past the security guard, we would turn the corner, and then there was another wall on this other side. Once we turned the corner, that had a door, and we would go through that door, and that door led to the locker room. And we figured we'd go through the locker room, which was in the basement, because we didn't want to come through the front door because it'd be too obvious. The gym teacher would see us and know right away we were cutting class. So we decided we would come through the basement, and then on the other side of the locker room was another entrance that allowed us to sneak in somewhat unnoticed. And so that was our goal. We were going to make our way to the gym and play basketball and spend our second period class that we were cutting, playing, hanging out with the class that was in the gym at the time. So we're walking down the hallway, we're making our way down, and we're getting towards the security guard desk. And our security guard was a little special. He would take his desk, instead of sort of facing the hallway, he would kind of turn it so that his back was to you. So, you can kind of sneak past Mr. Johnson. You just kind of like creep past him and make your way to where you were going. So as we were approaching the desk today, we noticed that the desk was empty. Mr. Johnson wasn't sitting there. So he was like, that's odd. Mr. Johnson's always here. So he's not here today. So we're making our way there, and as we're getting closer, all of a sudden we heard somebody behind us saying, you three, stop. So obviously we didn't have a hall pass in our hand, and the person who told us to stop knew we were cutting class. So we had selective hearing. We looked back, and he said, you three stop. We pretended we didn't hear him, so we started walking, and you could kind of hear him all of a sudden starting to chase us. You hear his keys rattling as he was starting to chase us. So we started running, and he was running, and so we figured, it looked like a substitute security guard. He's not going to catch us. We're 16, 17. He's old. He's 40. He's never going to catch us. So our goal was we were going to outrun the security guard. We're going to make it to the end of the hallway. We're going to turn that corner, go in the basement through the locker room, and come up on the other side and blend in with the class that was there. Operation Cut Class still in full effect. So we're running. We're almost to the end of the hallway, and somebody stepped out in front of us. And guess who that was? The principal. The principal. Now, I wanted to say to the principal, we're caught between the principal and the security guard, but this second period, I wanted to say to the principal, shouldn't you be in your office calling a parent or something? Shouldn't you be doing some paperwork? Why are you in the hallways roaming? But in any event, that's neither here nor there. We're caught between the principal and the security guard. So we're stuck. We're stuck. And so happened today, of all days, there was a door that we really never noticed because this door was always locked. But it happened to be our library. In our library today, the door was ajar. It was open. And so normally, again, our library was closed. It had 5 locks on the door. It had this wire mesh kind of material on the windows. I don't know, it was like they were protecting diamonds in there or something. So, and I would see Mrs. Williams, the librarian, every day, and Mrs. Williams was, she was close to retirement, and she used to have to open all 5 locks. And I was like, oh man, Mrs. Williams, I could give you a hand with that. How you doing today? She's like, I'm doing good. She was the sweetest lady. I'm like, you feeling okay today? She's like, yeah, I'm doing good, baby. So good to see you. So then I would, see her open all 5 locks, and she had to get low with it. I'm like, oh my God, Mrs. Williams is going to get low and not come back. You just can hear arthritis. So I'm like, Mrs. Williams, I can help you. She's like, no, I got it. And I'm like, oh my God. So she get low, you just can hear all the crackling in her knees. And I was like, man, she's getting low, low, low. And I just wanted to kind of help her out. But she's like, no, I got it, baby. So, so Mrs. Williams, great librarian, she would open all 5 locks. And so the door will always be closed. But today the door was ajar. And so we dove into the library. And so happened it was a career seminar being presented by Seton Hall University by a career in health and science. It was recruited there, recruiting students to participate in the health and science fields. So that's how the Pact began. All 3 of us took a seat. I listened in a little bit, but that McDonald thing was still kind of gravitating me. George listened in because he wanted to be a dentist, and Ramik listened in because he wanted to be a teacher. And dentists and teachers do the same thing. I'm sorry, Ramik wanted to be an internist. And so internists and teachers do the same thing. They help people. They help people. So he paid attention. He's like, man, maybe I could become a doctor. At the same time, I didn't think that I can become a doctor because, again, I wasn't surrounded by doctors. I wasn't surrounded by positive people like that. So when the class was over, I fell asleep a little bit. The presentation was over. All 3 of us gathered in the hallway. And these guys are excited. They're jumping up and down, man. We're about to become doctors. We're about to become doctors. So I was like, okay. It was McDonald's for me just recently, but we're going to become doctors. Okay, like Trapper John MD. And, for my older people, you know what I mean by Trapper John MD. And they said, nah, we're going to do it because it was the presentation from Seton Hall University will give us an opportunity to go to school to become doctors. So I'm like, wow, so I'm like, well, I don't know, the McDonald thing, doctors. And I'm like, okay, we become doctors. Like, how long is that going to take? I'm still jumping because these are my friends. And they're jumping, I'm jumping. Like, is that going to be a year? Is that going to be 2 years? And they said, no, that's going to be 8 years. So I stopped jumping. I said, you guys want to go to school on purpose for 8 more years? I'm like, I don't know what they gave you guys in there. And like, no, it'd be nice, it'd be good because we could do it together. We can do it together. So the power of a team is what I'm saying to you is what is magical. The fact that you can do opportunities and pursue your dreams as a team is priceless. It's priceless. So what? I grew up in a single parent home. So what? There was poverty. So what? People told me I couldn't do it. It didn't matter because we had our pact. We had our pact. And that's what I encourage and implore you guys to do. Make sure you have your pact. Find your best friends. Make that pact with them. And it's a big pact here tonight. It's a huge pact in here tonight. Surround yourself with like-minded people. So we made this pact. We went off to Seton Hall University. And I'll never forget, I stepped foot on college campus. For those who are going to college next year, it's the best time of your life. It's the best time of your life. And I remember I stepped foot on the college campus. They said, look to your left and look to your right. Somebody's not going to be here next semester. Like, don't look at me. They done told me about the meal plan. They done told me about the AC in the summer and the heat in the winter. That, because where I grew up, we had heat in the summer, AC in the winter. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of cold during the winter months and hot during the summer months. And they say you're going to have your own phone line at work and I don't have to make any more free collect calls. I was sold. So when they said look to your left and look to your right, they looked at me like, don't look at me. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. And every semester I made the Dean's List from there. And so we started off. We started off with 135 biology majors at Seton Hall University. The 3 of us was probably chosen as the most likely not to succeed. They say these guys from Newark, they're probably not going to make it. So out of 145 biology majors at Seton Hall University, 45 or so went on to receive their biology degrees, and we were 3 of those 45. Eight to 10 went on to receive their terminal degrees, their doctorates, their PhDs, their dental degrees, and we were 3 of those 8 or 10 people that went on to receive their terminal degrees. And so we graduated college and went off to medical school, and medical school was another monster in and of itself. It's a challenging period, but you can do it. You can do it. Young people, you are going to face defeat. You are going to face moments of doubt and failure, but it's what you do with that. It could be a blemish in the road, or it can swallow you and change your direction. It's how you respond to it. So it's up to you how you respond to those challenges, but believe in yourself. It is capable. You can make it happen. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Go on and become the next leaders of tomorrow. It's up to you. It's up to you. 1.2 million high school students drop out of school each year. 1 out of 2 youth age 18 to 24 are unemployed. You are going to destroy that number. You are going to destroy that conception that it's not possible. You are the leaders. And once I got to medical school, it's amazing. It's amazing what happens when you start to do things and take that first step. People just come out of nowhere to help you out. Mentors come out to help you, to make sure you make it. First day of medical school, I couldn't believe it. I received my acceptance letter from Robert Wood Johnson Medical School. And it says, Sampson Davis, you have been accepted into Robert Wood Johnson. Like, man, then I made a mistake. And I never forget Dr. Linda Shee, my genetics professor. No family ties to me. She was a mentor of mine. And she said, you're starting medical school, your first day, you need to have your medical books. I said, Dr. Linda Shee, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's only the first day. It's going to only be notes. It's nothing else. And she said, no, I am getting in my car. I'm going to come give you some money so you can buy your books. I said, don't worry about it. She's like, no, I'm going. I'm on my way. So back then, we didn't have cell phones. That was last century. So Dr. Linda Shee, it was a monsoon outside. It was pouring down rain. And so when I first met Dr. Linda Shee at Seton Hall University, she was 5'3". By the time I graduated, she was 4'11". So she jumped in her Honda Civic, and you could see her just coming down the road, coming to my dorm room complex to bring me money, and you just could see her driving, hydroplaning. And when you see people like that supporting you, you have no choice but to do well in life. You have no choice but to believe that it's possible. And so for your mentors, the ones that are here today, for your teachers, for your parents, the way that you repay them is by doing well in life. That's how you repay them. And remember, once you achieve, you have to come back to where you were, born, or the community that you live. You have to give back. You have to give back. You have to pay it forward. Because there's young brothers, your young sisters. There are people younger than you looking up to you to see what you're doing next, how best they can follow you, which direction you're taking. So there's moves that you make is imperative. It's not only about you, it's about your family, about your community. And that's how we start to change the shape of our neighborhoods. That's how we start to put education on the platform as the coolest thing out. That's how we make education glamorized, and that's how we glorify it, by doing well. And it's my hope that one day, education would have that seat, that it would be as big as the NFL, as big as the music industry, that it would have that same sort of glitz and glamour that it deserved, because it saved my life. It saved my life. And to return home, after I graduated Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, to return home and practice emergency medicine in the same hospital that I was born in is priceless. To be in the hallways and people walk by that I grew up with, and to take care of grandparents that I knew and children that I knew, and take a young person by the hand and say, listen, we know you can't aim for what you can't see, but let me show you what an x-ray looks like so now you can see it so you can aim for it. This is what the x-ray looks like. This is the hand. These are the metacarpals. These are the phalanges. There's our 8 wrist bones here, the navicular bone, and just you describe all the components of the body. And to have that young mind now see that it's possible, that's the power of visualization. So to come back home and the 3 of us return home and graduated, and our story hit the front page of the newspaper, and then one day I was home washing dishes and the phone rang and it was Oprah, and Oprah invited us to the show, and I just left the water running and I ran to the nearest airport, because when Oprah calls, you can do this. You don't need ID, you don't need to go through security, you just go up and you say Oprah called, and they just let you right on through. So Oprah called, and we were on a show, and she was just talking about how great this story was and how we were the premier role models of the world. She touched my knee, I fell in love, she didn't. I'm still looking for her, so if you guys have any hookups, let me know. She could call me Collect. So to be on her show and to have the opportunity to write the Pact and to write Living and Dying in Brick City and to see these books become New York Times bestseller and to travel the country and speak all over the world, I never planned for this. These are the blessings that's waiting for you. If you just take that first step and make your way to the finish line, you don't understand how many blessings are waiting for you behind that finish line. So many. You like say to yourself, well, I'm just planning on becoming a doctor or a dentist or an EMT or a paramedic or a nurse. But there's so many more blessings waiting for you. And you just don't understand how many there are there once you take that first step. So don't give up. Don't give up. Moments when it gets to the point where you feel like quitting, keep pushing, because usually when quitting is that close that you can feel it, is when success is waiting for you at the next step. So believe, you guys are 186,000 strong. You have the power, you have the muscle. 8550 here tonight. I'm playing that in the lottery as soon as I get home. 8550, right? Write that down. Keep pushing. Believe in yourself. Form your pacts. Make education the coolest thing out. You are bosses. Make sure you give back. Once we've written our books, we formed our foundation, the 3 Doctors Foundation, and we focus on health, education, leadership, and mentoring. And so it's important that you give back to your community as well. And always on the end on this note, never settle. Always aim for the stars. I had professors, some who said I couldn't do it, some who said I could do it. I went to their office and I would challenge them on certain things. Once you get to college, a few pearls. Make sure you sit in front of the class. Make sure you get to know your professor. Make sure you go to office hours. Make sure you get study groups. If you're not doing well in a class, don't give up. Don't let one bad grade send a signal to you that this major is not for you. Keep pushing, keep believing, go to tutoring. Because that perseverance is going to make the difference. For me, I came up with a mantra, the 3 Ds. Some of you may have heard of it: dedication, determination, and discipline. So when times got tough, when I felt like I was at my end of my rope, I used those 3 Ds. I was dedicated, I was determined, I was disciplined. You have to be relentless in your pursuit of success. So go on and go out there in the world, make a difference, make a change. Sitting in this room is the cure for cancer. Sitting in this room is the cure for diabetes. Sitting in the room is the next movement. It's the next movement. Before we even had a name for the internet, we didn't know what it was going to be, and now we have a name. And so whatever that next movement is sitting in this room tonight, continue forward, Godspeed. Thank you.
Will you join me in the middle? Now, Dr. Davis, that was a great speech. And you have just shown us a new way to lead. And we cannot wait to share your remarkable stories and lessons, not only that you have shared with us today, but in your books. You're a role model and inspiration to all of our future health professionals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.